Hey everybody, I'm Griffin, and this is Theta, and this is a death battle. No, that's not our intro. Welcome to Stone-Faced Reactions, where we watch videos and then don't react to them whatsoever. Hey everybody, welcome back again to Stone-Faced Reactions. I'm Griffin, this is Theta, and we're here reacting to another video, which, we're about to find out what we're going to be watching, aren't we?
All right, let's spin that wheel.
The wheel decides our fate. The wheel is life.
Oh, before you had a quick little rhyme you did when the wheel was spinning. I can't remember what it was now.
Wheel of Morality?
But
It's like an old Animaniacs one right there. And this is Wonder Woman 84 versus X-Men Apocalypse.
Oh, cool. It's like you mentioned this before off stream or something.
And how I keep forgetting to actually go watch X-Men Apocalypse.
Well, you got to pick this time because you lost last time.
That is true. If I have to guess which one of these is the better movie, I'm actually going to guess Wonder Woman 84. I think there was like some slight controversy around its reception, but probably by people who don't know anything. Whereas I think X-Men Apocalypse is probably a slightly forgettable movie. That would be my impressions from having watched neither of them, actually. So I'm pitching in for Wonder Woman.
Well, I'm glad you picked Wonder Woman 84. I mean, it's the movie that was universally panned. Also had a weird rape plot going on.
Oh,
jeez. Where, the love of her life, she wishes back to life, and he's put into another man's body who has no control over the situation or consent. And, I mean, she's Wonder Woman after all. Probably would say yes, but was never given the opportunity. So, kind of it is rape if you think about it.
Yeah, we could talk about power dynamics all day here and how that situation's fun. But, well, shit, I chose wrong, but I guess that's what I got right now.
I mean, how about the end of the movie that has the conceit is the only way to save the world is to have everybody take back their wish. Everybody in the world that made a wish has to take back their wish on the words of a woman they never met before.
But I want to put this up against, like, X-Men Apocalypse, where I don't remember anyone thinking anything good about it, or even really remembering it. Like, it immediately gets phased out by, like, the other better X-Men movies.
Okay,
clearly has nothing going for it, right?
You want to argue against the movie, where I could just keep tearing down. But even then,
That's
your argument is the movie that has a lot of bad shit in it is still better somehow than the movie you don't remember.
There's got to be at least something good in Wonder Woman, because at least they aced the first movie, and some of that has to have a transitive property.
That's not even true. It doesn't have to have a transitive property. They could have made
it doesn't have to, but I want to hope it.
They could have made a flop after a success. It happens all the time. X-Men Apocalypse, the best scene in the movie is when sorry, I forgot his name for some reason. Apocalypse takes over Xavier's mind and forces them to launch all of the world's nuclear arsenal. And he takes that arsenal out into space and just lets it float away. All of your weapons, your guns. He has a whole fucking speech about it. It's amazing. And then he also brings in, Magneto again after a big old, his family dying. It's got a bunch of scenes. Also, they revisit Nuremberg.
Because that's what you go here for, Nuremberg.
Well, you remember early on in the X-Men franchise when Magneto is being torn away from his parents, and he bends
one of the
gate.
scenes right there.
Yeah, they revisit that location, and then he says, "Hey, Magneto, just fucking destroy this place. That'd be cathartic." And it is. He just fucking destroys the place. It's like, yes! I remember that Nazi son of a bitch that tortured me for years, too. Burn it to the ground.
So, in kind of like a very non-confrontational kind of thing, there are good parts and bad parts to everything, and I always like trying to like piece things apart and go, oh, this is good, this is bad. Let's see which one has the best parts and the worst parts. Let's find out.
Wait, before we step into this...
Oh?
I've named a couple of good parts about X-Men Apocalypse and named a ton of bad parts about Wonder Woman 84. What are your good parts about Wonder Woman 84?
That's the thing, I don't know them.
Okay.
The only thing I have is that there's a good, solid character set up here from the previous Wonder Woman, who, if they continue on with that portrayal, ought to be pretty good.
Sure, sure. The portrayal that fell in love with a man during World War II and then wished him back to life and then raped another man to have sex with their former love. Sure. That portrayal that carried on. Makes sense to me.
Well, time for me to stop defending a movie I haven't actually seen. Let's just go ahead and see how things go.
This is Real Rivalries, the show where we pit two movies head to head.
Hi, Tom.
And I believe this is what, 4 categories?
Today we take a trip back to the
yeah,
80s,
usually
as
it's
Wonder
4.
Woman 1984 goes up against
So that they can
X-Men
tie a lot.
Apocalypse. The rounds include characters, story, powers, and assembly.
Yep,
so
4.
grab yourself an ecto cooler.
Powers,
chair,
okay,
let's
sweet.
talk characters.
That's an X-Men category that's gonna win for sure.
Apocalypse has quite the collection of mutants. Jennifer Lawrence is for some reason the main character as Raven. Once in a blue moon, she graces us with her presence as Mystique.
Raven.
Beast is back, along with Havoc.
Oh,
briefly,
okay.
Before he accidentally kills
Oh,
himself
yeah, of
while
course, the
throwing a fit.
Quicksilver
He died a
scenes. How
hero.
can we fucking forget
Not
about
really. It
that?
was actually
That's
sad.
also
Because
amazing.
should feel embarrassed
Wait, they
about
bring him
the
back?
whole
Oh,
year.
Yeah, they
sweet.
bring him back. He saves everybody in the X-Men mansion to the song "Sweet Dreams Are Made of These" by the Eurythmics.
Definitely trying to recapture the original magic there.
They did better.
Who is asking for this
But still,
character to
the
keep
ben-
showing up?
the
Quicksilver
best thing
remains
about
awesome.
X-Men
Right there.
is that it has a ton of characters that are all really interesting in some way.
That goes absolutely nowhere. Logan shows up for a brief cameo, and Moira is back from X-Men First Class to just kind of be in scenes.
You know, carrying on from the goodwill from the last movie,
Zero
as you
skill
do.
sets to the team, but they keep bringing her along. Professor Xavier and Magneto continue their on-again, off-again relationship.
Already
as
balding.
well. The villain of the picture
Well, he
has
was
gone
bald
by
last
many
movie.
names over his life. The first
It
one,
would be real weird if he
Shang,
wasn't bald this movie.
Raw, Trevor probably, but he'll always be known as Apocalypse to me. Oscar Isaac plays the Blue Mutant in a somewhat nonchalant way. He's a pretty chill dude who likes to surround himself with some close friends. And by close, I mean in the literal sense, as he pretty much picks out the first 4 mutants he comes into contact with. One such mutant is Olivia Munn's character Psylocke. I think the fireworks in Wonder Woman 1984 had more time on screen than she did. Speaking of Wonder Woman 1984, let's see
That's
who
a real
runs
shame.
the film in this picture. Gal
Also
Gadot
good
is
that
back
guy
as
knew how to,
Princess Diana,
pilot
along
a
with
modern
the
fighter
co-star
jet,
Chris
even though he's from
Pine.
World War
But
II.
wait, Adam, I thought Steve Trevor died in the first film, selflessly giving his life for those around him. That's correct. A stranger on the internet, he did in fact die. But this time he's been selfishly brought back so that a 70-year-old budding romance can continue to flourish. Kristen Wiig basically plays Selena Kyle from Batman Returns. She becomes a Catwoman of sorts too, a cheetah girl. The Mandalorian takes his mask off to play the main villain here, Maxwell Lord. He's a self-described loser who will find a way to cheat the system and work his way up to the presidency by the end of the film. Definitely not inspired by any real-life figures. Some of the Amazonian favorites show up for a 10-minute lesson about why it's wrong to cut corners.
Here's my real
And
problem
there
here
are
is
a
that I
number of
actually
children
like
who
Wonder
pop
Woman
up here
84.
and there
It
for
is
Wonder
just
Woman
filled
to
with
be
a lot of
painfully saved.
problems.
One kid gets crushed into
Ah,
a horse,
you and your
two others
devil's
are completely
advocating.
wrecked after she topples
Not
over
devil's
them.
advocating, that would be if I was
Broken
giving a
kids
good
aside,
argument. I've all
X-Men
done
just
is
has a more diverse
shit on
roster
Wonder Woman
here.
84 so
Plus,
far.
no one's masquerading around
I mean,
in someone else's
it is
body.
good,
You know,
but it
who's
could be
going
better.
nuts. I mean, Apocalypse kind of does
I don't
that
feel like
in a
you
way,
watched
Wonder
the
Woman
movie.
definitely has
also, you know,
definitely
the
has like an
villain.
interesting thing
Considering
where it
I
has
didn't
different
like
pools
Wonder
of
Woman in the main movie This
characters,
time, X-Men gets the win here.
but apparently just not enough.
Yeah, it's got like 4 characters, 5 really, if you think about it.
The X3
Mhm.
storyline, mainly by removing it. This allowed the writers to take the series in a fun new direction with the original cast and some fresh concepts. They instead opted to tell the same stories with a new fresh-faced cast. Jean Grey starts to go full Phoenix again. Magneto is good and then bad like he is in every movie, and Wolverine is somehow captured by Stryker even though the last movie ended with Mystique finding him. The main plot revolves around the OG.
Sure, but it's not impossible she could turn him into Stryker.
I'm sorry, I can't get over that Wolverine moment where he just opens up a door and then just flees into the woods. Why do they have the door
Those that
there?
survive the horrific destruction will be welcome to
Because he
Golden
already killed
Arms,
everybody in the
which is a
complex
hellscape
on the
of
way
fire
there.
and brimstone.
Yeah, he probably has the
Radiation
freedom to do so, but it's still such a
It's
funny
sound plan.
image.
Good
I would
plan.
make that a
In order to
reaction
achieve
GIF.
this massive feat, he enlists the help of 3 very useless teammates and Magneto. Speaking of which, Eric has made a nice, quaint life for himself.
Yeah,
He had
you
an
can't
honest
trump
job,
Magneto,
a
honestly.
family, and a new identity. That is, until he saves a man's life with his abilities
See, like I said, his family dies. It's a big part of the movie.
Eric's daughter, Snow White, sends a flock of angry birds at them, and Butterfingers McGee accidentally shoots an arrow through both her and her mother. They evidently were made of paper mache, as that arrow didn't seem to be moving that fast. There was not a lot of pull on that
Slow
string,
motion.
it just
Come
went
on.
Yeah, that was clearly slow
Eric's
motion.
anger gets the best of him, which was really
Those
conveniently timed.
arrows
as
don't go that
Apocalypse
fast.
appeared
You
at
could
that very
literally
moment to
bat
bring
an arrow
them
away
together.
if you
Meanwhile,
want.
Raven is going around the world
I've done
putting
it.
together some sort of X-Men squad.
Oh, yeah, but not when
Xavier's
your
school
back
is
is
blown
turned to
up,
it.
Stryker kidnaps some of the kids
Yeah.
just so we can have a Wolverine scene, and eventually the two
Again, I
factions
mean, Magneto
battle it out.
kills everybody
Finally,
that killed his family
Apocalypse
with
is
all
defeated,
his, like,
mostly
wipes
thanks
the
to
locket.
Cyclops.
Just sends it
He's
through
still
all of them.
completely useless. Magneto, for the 20th time, comes to his senses and helps Jean Grey and the others throw down an epic fatality on the villain. The film caps with Mystique leading her new team of poorly dressed heroes to a sequel that everyone will hate. Speaking of getting all dressed up with nowhere to go, let's talk Wonder Woman 84's plot.
That's an interesting
As the title
twist.
states, the film takes place in 1984. Why is this such a
Just
special date
Mystique
to call
taking
out?
over
It's
actual
anyone's guess,
leadership
as the
and
plot
everything's
doesn't really
okay.
hinge
It's
on
like,
any particulars.
okay, sweet.
Apocalypse also takes place in the early 80s, but outside of some fashion choices,
I guess
and
technically
occasional
she's
pop
the
culture
third
reference,
leader
and the fact
in
that
line
none
out
these
of like
characters have
Xavier,
aged a single
Magneto, and
day.
her.
It's more of a gimmick
That's a
than
Seems
point that I
natural.
didn't even think about, is
84
that both
starts
these
with a
movies take
lengthy
place in the
Theme Star
80s.
Gladiators competition to teach the audience
That's a
that
good
cheating
point.
is never the right answer, and you can't always get what you want. Did this need to
Winners
go on
never
for a dozen or
cheat.
so minutes for us to get that point? No, of course not. In fact, I took a lot of that time thinking about why Diana was even allowed to compete. Her mother didn't want her training in the last film, but she's cool with her kid upstaging women who have been working at this moment their entire lives. Controversial stance here, but I'd argue Diana's been cheating since birth, considering the raw talents bestowed upon her by her father Zeus. We'll move on though. When Diana and her nerdy friend Barbara come into possession of a magic stone, they soon learn it has the ability to grant the user a single wish upon touch. Since Wonder Woman is dead inside without the accompaniment of a man she knew for all of a week, she wishes him back. He ends up taking
what
over the
the
body of some
rectal
random
test?
guy, and only Diana can see him as Steve. Where did the original owner
I'm
of the
trying to
body
remember
go?
what that
was
was called.
weekend like,
Maybe
I
it
wonder?
is.
Do you think his family missed him? Did he have a family? Did he lose his job? Diana doesn't seem bothered by any of these questions. Instead, she takes him to art
Certainly doesn't
galleries,
cover it at the
a
end of the movie
museum
either,
where
but the
they
guy just
steal
shows
a
back
fully
up
fueled
again.
jet and allow him to join her for extremely dangerous missions. It's also implied that they sleep together, so that's fun. When Wonder Woman isn't pining for Chris,
Or
she's
rape.
going after Maxwell Lord. He's also made a wish on the Dreamstone to basically be turned into a genie. This
So he can grant
Dreamstone
more than
works
one
like a
wish.
monkey paw. It takes something just as valuable as what it gives.
No, one wish
like
per person.
marriage. Diana starts to
Okay.
lose her powers and Maxwell slowly loses his life. To reach a huge number of people at once, he learns there is a new super secret technology that allows users to touch people via particles emitted through satellites or something. I can't even pretend to understand what was happening at the end. Later, he allows Barbara to turn herself into a reject from the film Cats, even though she already used up her one wish previously. Wonder Woman also turns a jet invisible. It seems like a pretty useful ability she could maybe use one or two times down the road.
Wait,
but
she does that as her power.
Never mentioned. Final act consists of her fighting Cheetah, and then going up against her greatest adversary yet, Strong Winds. She finally overcomes the particle beam and gives a speech so powerful that everyone gives up their wishes. The stories are both bad. I'm giving this round a tie.
Wow.
Alright, sure, why not?
Since the plot is lacking in
This
both
only
these
confirms
films,
what
to
I
say the
thought.
least, the powers should make up for it, right? Apocalypse has plenty of that. There's a cage
Yeah,
match
power should be the
between
biggest
Nightcrawler
part
and
of a
Angel,
superhero film.
a
Although
site
technically, I do want to point out the
facility
emotional,
featuring Weapon X going on a
emotional
murder spree,
response of having your
and
family
mutant
killed and
versus
watching
mutant fighting.
and trying to get
For the
revenge
most
on
part,
people.
the powers make
There is a lot
sense.
more story
Cyclops
going
uses
on.
It
and-
was always the best part of every
teleports.
X-Men film.
Magneto can manipulate metal.
That's like-
Angel gets drunk, etc.
Actually,
Apocalypse
name the
eludes
3
me,
coolest
though.
X-Men.
I don't understand what
Characters.
this character is at all.
X-Men
You see
characters or
Apocalypse
X-Men?
drop humans like flies
X-Men
without even blinking
characters
an
within
eye.
the
You just
universe.
download information by touching things.
It's gonna be Magneto, it's gonna be Wolverine, and who's your third?
Wow, Wolverine's not on my list, no.
Like a cartoon character, he slices off
I mean,
heads,
I
but
guess
then
I go
there's
with
his
Professor X.
unexplainable
Xavier would be my
clothing
number
designer
2.
skill. He can just make
And then maybe
wardrobes
Rogue?
and stylish tattoos. Everyone gets a new outfit
Yeah,
and hairstyle.
Rogue's pretty cool. And at
except
some point she gets the
Psylocke,
Miss
who,
Marvel abilities
let's
in the
be
comic.
honest, she
They
kinda
haven't done a
needs
movie
it.
with
I
that
don't know.
yet,
He can
which is
also
a shame.
charge up
Well, she
all
could
her
just steal
mutant
anyone's
abilities,
powers.
making
Literally,
them
she's
super
like
mutants.
Superman
In the case of
plus
Angel, he replaces
anybody
his
she
wings
touches.
with metal ones that shoot
Yup.
blades. Watch out,
Which
guys.
is,
Angel
crazy.
just went from a 1 to a 2 on the threat scale. This scale goes up to 1,000. Apocalypse has
But this brings a good
I
point.
believe.
There are a
His
lot of
eyes
powers
picked up
that are
the
just
Quicksilver after
absolute
a couple moments,
not
so I
really
just can't
great.
fathom how he lost so handily. This dude seems far more threatening on paper than even Thanos, yet he commands none of the presence. I mentioned
That's 'cause he doesn't
Quicksilver,
really have the
who once
powers
was
he
the
has
big
in the
highlight
comics.
of the film. Saving the students from the exploding school feels like
I think his
watching
powers
an
are to,
entirely
like,
different
give
movie
and
or
take
another
away
one.
powers.
Remember the fantastic action from the first Wonder
Yeah,
Woman?
he's
Isn't that right?
Director
he's one
Patty
for all,
Jenkins doesn't
basically.
seem to. Instead of the
But that's
slick,
not
high-energy
really his
fights
power
with
set as I
Diana
understood them in the
brandishing a
comics.
sword and shield, we get her with just
In the
the
comics, he
lasso
just has a
proof
bunch
and
of
a
powers
tiara.
and the
Later,
knowledge
she
of
wears some
celestial
golden armor
technology.
she had stored away in the corner of her broom closet to spice things
So
up a little.
Wonder
For the
Woman
most
is
part,
basically the
it's a lot
source of
swinging,
nearly every
throwing,
power here in
punching,
this
and
film,
running in front
and a lot
green
of them are
screen.
mystical
She
and really
seems to have
cool.
an invisible touch now, Phil Collins.
You say,
A
having
short-lived
voted for her
display of
movie to
power that,
win?
as previously stated,
Yeah.
will never be used
Yeah,
again.
because
Switching
what
to
you
the
said
music
was
theme,
false.
she rides the lightning
So I can
tube
only
right
add
after
a
learning
level
how
of
to fly.
cynicism
Super strength,
to what you're saying.
seemingly impervious skin, and a smile that
Oh
makes
yeah,
most
well
men
Wonder Woman is the
picture
source of all the
isn't
powers,
enough
and they're
to
all
do.
really
She needs the power of
cool.
love.
Am I right, guys? They're really cool.
It's my opinion. I think she has a lot of cool and interesting
Barbara
things
gets
going
some of the
around
same
her
powers
with,
as
like,
Wonder
this
Woman,
level
plus
of
fur, which will
Greco-Roman
help keep her
mysticism
warm in
going
those
on.
harsh winter
It's
months.
neat.
Smart thinking. Steve Trevor is
Yeah,
into
I
superhero
especially loved it when
There's
she
the
turned.
Wishstone,
Second
and
to
then
none.
there's
The jump
the...
from a World War I plane to a
There's-
modern
there's-
jet
there's
to
Cheetah
me
Woman.
seems astronomical. It took him
Otherwise known
5
as Cheetah.
seconds to get comfortable with it.
Yup.
It is a pro. But
Not
since
a whole
variety is
lot
the
going
spice of
on
life,
after her.
X-Men takes the win here.
Really cool, guys. Really cool.
The biggest mystery to me is that both of these movies were directed by people who previously put out fantastic installments. Bryan Singer directed most of the good X-Men films before crapping out Apocalypse. It looks cheap compared to the previous entries. The costumes look like something you could buy at one of those pop-up stores come Halloween. Most of it is just chaotic CG noise that bombards the screen. There are definitely some breakout moments and some solid musical choices, but it all just feels silly this time around. Jennifer Lawrence clearly didn't want to sit for the hours of makeup daily, which
Yeah,
is probably
any
a good thing,
superhero
sadly,
movie, like,
considering
really
what
has
the
to be
final product
careful
ended up
with,
looking
like,
The opening act is cool,
making
mainly
people
because
care
it takes
about
place
what's
in
going on,
Egypt,
I
which is
think.
a
It's
nice
hard to
change
get
of pace
that
from the traditional
level
city
investment
battles.
in
Almost
things.
all of these criticisms can be applied to Wonder Woman 84. Diana looks out of place in her own picture. In the previous flick, Jenkins did a great job making her feel like she was part of the time period. I can see what she was going for with the brighter look, just didn't work. The pacing is noticeably weaker, with a full hour going by at one point before the next set piece hits. The biggest criticism I have though is the camera work. There were a handful of moments where it felt like they used the C unit for these shots. Bizarre camera placement that sits on a poorly framed up Diana. Both have a few slick moments, but they're equally a messy production. I'm calling another tie.
Yeah.
Well, shit, Diana.
I
In the
guess.
War for
I got no strong
Disappointment,
feelings about that one
reigns
either.
supreme. Wonder Woman 1984
I mean,
was
it's like you
short
said,
to
it's
sit
like,
through,
just
with a
because you
whole
had a good
lot of
movie before
shenanigans
doesn't mean
taking
you have a
place.
good movie
Age of
now.
Apocalypse is a massive
Both for
step
just-
down from the previous entry too, but at least it doesn't
Oh, he just
feel
said it
like
out
it's
loud.
12 hours long. Now it's your turn to chime in. Toss a like on the video if you had some fun, and I'll see you next week on another Real Rivalries. Seriously though, the makeup on Mystique this time around was horrific. I could spend hours on it. I could talk
Yeah,
about
but
it
again,
until
she's
I'm blue
Mystique.
in
She
the
shouldn't
face.
be blue for like more than a couple seconds because she's gonna be somebody else.
Thanks for watching the rivalry. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like
Yeah,
button
you know,
and
just have
comment
him
with your
jump
episode
into, like,
winner.
the
If you're a
vat
fan
of blue
movie
paint real
debates,
quick, get
feel
onto
free
scene,
to
and then
subscribe
go
to
shower,
Screen Rant
you know?
for
I mean,
more
they could have done her in
rivalries and
CGI. She
much
didn't have to
more.
be. But yeah, looks like I've won twice in a row now.
Yup, you sure have, and, well, I can sure pick them sometimes.
Like I said, I knew the moment you said Wonder Woman 84, I had this one in the bag.
Well, maybe next time we'll actually pick a movie that I remember. Until next time, though, I suppose I'm Griffin, this is Theta, and we'll see you on the next Stone Face Reactions. Goodbye, everybody. Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone Face Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below, and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?